Welcome to the Wellness Surge podcast with Dr. Adiola Oke. Each week, we discuss our wellness journey with real people like you and me. We have conversations about food, fitness, mental health, financial wellness, and much more so you can get back to the real you. To make sure that you're up to date with this and other wellness topics, visit wellnesssurge.com. Information presented here is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Please do not apply any of the information presented here without first speaking with your primary care provider. Now, let's head on to the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wellness Surge podcast. I am your hostess. My name is Dr. Adiola Oke, and I have the wonderful Cordelia Gaffar with us today. Say hello.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
All righty. So today we're going to be talking about excessive worry, all right, and signs and solutions. So Cordelia is going to be talking to us about that, and she's really into stuff like that and getting women where they need to be. And obviously men can also take some pointers from that, but they should reach their goals. And how can we do that without excessive worry? That's what we're going to try to talk about today. So take it away.
Yeah, I wanted to just say a couple of things because I thought, my realm, of expertise is really with emotions, and a lot of the women I work with, they don't identify with the vocabulary of depression, right? And so that's why when you wanted to talk to me, I was like, well, let me, just use the word worry, because we all know that we worry, right?
Yeah.
And what was interesting, though, when I just looked up recent studies, I like to reference the Harvard Medical Journal.
Yeah.
When you search on worry, there's something that's called a general anxiety disorder, and it's only, believe it or not, it's considered a men's condition. When I did the search on worry, and there things that came up in the Harvard Medical Journal were things like why worry about your weight, why worry during menopause, and stuff like that. But the actual condition of worry as an anxiety or stress disorder is called GAD, and that's associated with men who are middle-aged. And I thought that was quite surprising. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting because I think we women have a sheer fear of worry too, right? So it's interesting that in the psychological world that it's mostly associated with men. I can kind of understand though, maybe veterans, maybe the major population being men. So the anxiety post-war, maybe that may be associated with it. Not sure.
Yeah, I just thought it was striking. Anyway, I know that's not really what we were talking about, but the other reason I'm using that is I didn't even do a general Google search, but I'm just using that as an example to be careful what you're searching on the internet, because a lot of times when we worry about stuff, we have Dr. Google help us. And that just really gives us a downward spiral of other things to complicate our situation. So as far as excessive worry, though, some of the things I've come across with my clients is just, the regular day-to-day. Are my kids going to be, successful? Especially now with COVID going on, they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm not a stay-at-home mom, I'm a professional mom, and I don't know how to homeschool my kids. And, my kids are just like watching TV all day. And so here's the thing, I've homeschooled my 6 kids for 16 years. And,
Wow.
At some point in there, some of them have gone to school, private school, public school, Islamic school, whatever, but there's always a period of deschooling that has to happen. So we were all in shock, right? Adults and children alike, when one day we're going to school. And I think, was it Sunday night or Monday night? It was just like, okay, don't come back. We're going to figure out how you can do your stuff, And that's like a shock to the system. It's just like, wait a minute. And so let me just pause with the wait a minute piece, right? That is an opportunity to literally just wait a minute. Yeah, pause. They haven't figured out what it is that we were supposed to do at that point, right? So rather than worry that your kids are going to, have some decline in their education, or you're not going to be able to do all the things, just don't do anything. It's an opportunity to be still. And whether we're talking about COVID or anything else, oh my gosh, is it Lao Tzu, or yeah, I think it's Lao Tzu, something like, if you don't have anything to worry about, why worry, right? And then if you have something to worry about, why worry about it? Because in the end, you're only in this present moment.
Yes.
Just be still.
True. Yeah. So, wow. Yeah, absolutely. If you have nothing to worry about, why worry? Why add that excess burden on yourself, the mental stress? And we all know that worry has like effects, physical effects on the body, and when you're dealing with people. So, yeah, that's something to think about. Yeah, so is there like a difference between like excessive worry and just like plain old worry, like day-to-day worry? Like, is there a big difference? And is there like a difference in like how it makes the body feel kind of thing?
Yeah. So with excessive worry, you'll always have your breathing, you won't be able to control it. You'll always be short of breath. It may feel like you have a headache. You won't be able to sleep at night. Um, you'll do normal things mindlessly, like when we should sit down and eat, right? It's not an event. It's kind of like you're eating and scrolling, right? You're never present with anything. So with excessive worry, there's always mind racing, heart racing, headaches, body aches. Most common body aches that I hear of with excessive worry is back of neck, shoulders, right? Because a lot of the worry is concerning who we need to take care of, what we need to do, and how we need to present in the world.
Mm.
When there is more of a like regular worry. What am I trying to say? Like if it's more to do with things that you want in your life, you're going to have more of the lower back pain and hip pain, because this is the area where we feel unsupported emotionally or financially. And then another thing with excessive worry, you may have lots of knee pain or ankle pain. So your knees on the right side is usually associated with ego, and on the left side is associated with pride.
Interesting. I've never
Yeah.
heard that one before.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So yeah, the way so I deal with the different energy centers in our body. And so each area has to do with your relationship, either with yourself or with your outside world. So as we work our way down into the body, it becomes more about who we believe we are and our basic human needs, and other, as we move up in the body, it's more about how we relate to others. And even when it comes to our head, it's how we relate, like spiritually. So people who are excessively worried, if you're Muslim, you may have trouble praying. Or I mean, you don't have to be Muslim. Anybody, who follows a religion, you may find it difficult to stay focused in prayer, right?
True.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And so that's a big deal though, because if you're not able to be present, just constantly just mindlessly doing things, I can even think about it in case of one scenario, right? So when it comes to eating, right, mindlessly eating, we just stuff the face without thinking, oh my gosh, I need to stop right now. It's just because like, I have so many things to worry about. Let me just stuff it without appreciating the food or even taking the time to figure out what am I eating, right?
Yeah,
What am I
like
eating?
choice isn't a thing. It's just like it's not even a thing where it's like it's lunchtime. Let
Mm-hmm.
me shovel it in.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, what am I going to do, right? Because the eating is now a self-medicating um,
Mm.
practice, and it's not about the nutrition. It's not
Yeah.
about the choice, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So it's very interesting. So you say when you're worrying about other people, it's more you feel the stress in the shoulder area, right? And
Yeah,
when it's more about you, it's more in the back. Interesting.
yeah.
More in the back and the knee area, and then the knee is associated with pride, right? Or ego, right? I'm trying to
Well,
see
one
what
side is pride, one side is
one
ego,
side is ego.
and
Okay.
it's hips and lower back.
Hips and lower
Um,
back.
yeah.
Interesting. So, alrighty. So, now that we know all this, is there something? Is there hope? What can we do about it? Right? What can we do about it holistically?
Yeah, 100%. So like first of all, it's easy enough to say to be still, but to actually do that, there's a couple of things. In my process, which I call Replenish Me, I take women through release, restructure, refresh, and rebirth. So release is pretty obvious, but not so obvious because these are kind of the subconscious things that have occurred most likely at the earliest point in our existence between the ages of 0 and 5. And to get rid of that subconscious stuff, you have to really move into your body. And so some of the things I do at the beginning stages are just that, noticing your breath, right? How are you breathing? Um, and touching, moving into your body, right? And then noticing where your body won't allow you to move, right? And so when I have them first breathe into their body, it's just, normally everyone's always like, oh, take some deep breaths. I've had people choke trying to take deep breaths because
Hmm.
it's like that when you have excessive worry. So I don't invite you to do that. I just want you to notice the normal rhythm of your breath, and just quiet yourself by closing your eyes and listening or feeling it. And if it's hard for you to listen or feel it, then I invite you to touch your chest, so you can like actually feel your lungs and like touch your diaphragm, right? Because that's where we can feel our expansion and contraction. So if we're breathing correctly, when you inhale, your chest and your stomach should expand, right? And a lot of times as women, we always want to keep the belly in, but let's face it, a lot of us, we're mindlessly eating, our bellies are not in anyway. So just like, who cares? Just like let that belly out, and then when you exhale, everything should go back in, right? So that's the proper breathing. And if you watch a baby, you'll see that's the way they breathe, right? All this
Yes.
comes out and then it goes back in. And after noticing that, then, moving into the body. So when I say move into the body, like literally like moving your shoulders, moving at a diagonal into one hip and then the other, and with, bending your knees at the same time. And as you're doing that, you can kind of feel if you have more tension in your shoulders or not. To release that, this is when I have people to raise their arms and move like in a circular motion, the arms above the head, and do the same thing simultaneously if you can with your waist. And then you can identify where the most affected energy center in your body, and then we can get to work. So a lot of I do what I call release, or meetups, right? And then these release meetups, a lot of the women, we will use like music with drum beat, because I have them follow the drum with their shoulders and their hips, right? And that does two things. So apparently the drum with the skin, right? It actually has been proven to just even hearing it now, the studies have been done where the people are in the same room with the drum, but I've done this remotely and it does the same thing. So just that drum beat, it can reduce and reverse the effects of trauma in the body and help to start repair the neurological system. And the interesting thing about that is the movements I use are a blend of eccentrics, which is actually a healing modality for injured, like Olympic athletes, but it also strengthens and it recharges the mitochondria in your muscle cells. And it reconnects that conversation between the nervous system and the your muscles, your your ability to be flexible. So it actually even helps with the neuroplasticity of your brain. So a lot of the people, not only like Olympic champions, but also like older people that have been, diagnosed with years of arthritis, they find that they age backwards. However, you can still use these movements and blend it with African dance to African drum and release old trauma in the body.
Wow. I feel like I want to do some. I feel like I want to move a little bit and get my body all replenished. Sounds like fun. Oh my gosh, seriously.
So that, I know that we met at GEO, and that's like some of the movement I was showing that day.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that, but
yeah, I do.
So that's
I do.
so that's what that is about. And then once we know what energy center we're dealing with, and most often, I don't know how to say this PC, I'm just going to say it directly, but a lot of the Muslim women that I work with, their most affected energy center is around the diaphragm and the stomach area. So this is the fear and anger center of the body. And what I think is striking about that is if you study tasawwuf, a lot of purifying the soul, right? Purification of the heart is all about how to deal with anger in the way that it was revealed to be dealt with. I know we're familiar with all of the hadith about if you're angry, change your position and all that. This is true, but there's a deeper study behind that. Like many of the pages of tasawwuf is really all about when anger comes, it has a purpose. And rather than bearing that inside your body and causing yourself trauma, right? We have digestive problems. Alhamdulillah for Ramadan, that does cure a lot of it. But at the same time, what if you could have Ramadan every single day just by the way you're understanding your anger? So now, Islam encourages us to study. So scientifically, our emotions only last about 90 seconds. So I'm not saying to yell and scream at people when you get angry. I'm just saying when it hits you, stand, change your position. So if you're sitting, maybe stand up to ground yourself. And if you're, standing already, sit to ground yourself. But when you're doing that, don't resist the anger, but also don't act on it. Just be with it, right? Because the thing about anger is when it comes, it doesn't have words, does it?
No.
None of our emotions really have words, right?
No.
Sometimes it's just tears. Sometimes it's just, right?
Yes.
And sometimes it's just like, let me pick up something and throw it. This is why we're supposed to change our position so you don't pick up something and throw it. So you change your position, be with it, and then just let the words come. Okay, these are the 3 questions you ask yourself. What happened that triggered my anger? Why is this a triggering event for me? What story do I associate with this? Okay, and this will allow you to come up with the wisdom behind that. So we can apply this also to worry, right? Because the other side of worry, which also affects that same energy center, because worry is the fear, right?
Yeah.
Is Why am I worried about this? What's the triggering event here? And what's the lesson?
Wow.
And now replace that with the possibilities. When we think in terms of possibilities, it's easier for us to lean into love, right? So the opposite of fear is love.
Yes.
This is how we heal it, with compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And the compassion has to come inside first. That's why we have to recognize, what was the triggering event? Did it make me feel unsafe? Is that why I worry all the time when I see the refrigerator empty? Even though I have a bank account full of money, a car with gas in it, right? And the roads are working. So I can just jump in my car and go to the grocery store instead of being like, oh my God, we're going to starve to death, you know? Okay, so maybe you have like a meeting and maybe the kids have a test, but neither one of you are going to be able to function if you don't have the proper nutrition. So guess what? I'm not going to make that meeting, and you're going to take your test later. And turn the compassion towards self. So in this release phase, this is where we're learning self-compassion. Instead of worrying about all the things, stop, lean into it, understand why you're feeling this way, and then nurture yourself with love. What is it that I truly need in this moment? What is going to make it all better?
Hmm. Well, I feel like I need to take one of your classes. Seriously, man. Seriously, like, I need some. I need some. I need some release and all that. Seriously, I'm not joking. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Like, we can all use some proper anger management and release. So, especially if you have a house full of kids like mine, 5, and I'm sure you're 6. So,
well, there's only 5 at home right now. One's out. So,
okay, yes, I have a house filled with 5 kids, and it can be a little trying.
a little.
Let's just be real. So yes, okay, good. Wow. Seriously, that's just amazing. Okay, so that's how you feel like we can deal with excessive worry. So, but we've talked a lot today, right? What is one thing that you want to make sure that if you do not get anything from all you've said, what is one thing that they should at least take from this session with you?
Always think in terms of the possibilities.
Yes. Like I do some self-development, and every time we start, we're like, what are you the possibility of? So I am the possible. So like I totally get it. Like I am the possibility of this, and it grounds you. It makes you feel more alive. So I'm the possibility of power, of compassion, and I can totally see that. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All righty, Miss Cordelia. Thank you so much. So how can people get in touch with you after the show?
Yeah. So I love to get emails from people.
Okay.
And you can reach me at hello@cordeliagaffar.com. That's Gaffar.
Yeah.
And my website is cordeliagaffar.com. And of course, I'm everywhere on social media as well under my name. Also, if specifically you align with what I was talking about, I do have a replenish and boost your immune system boot camp that I do on the 25th of every month. And then, so obviously the next one would start on May 25th, and it's just for 5 days. We go over, this is more the restructure step, which I didn't talk about, where we create better habits with our sleep, thoughts, the food that we eat and how we eat it, movement, and our emotions.
Wow. That was a powerful session, right? Always think in terms of the possibilities. I know it works because I do it in another session. So yes, that is something you should all take away. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you. You all have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Join our Wellness Search Facebook community so that you can implement what we learn together. I am because you are. Thank you for listening and sharing your precious time with us. If you enjoyed the show, then follow us and subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or any app that carries podcasts. Have an awesome week. Best wishes to see you thrive.